that was issued by the Ministry of Education. So, Mr. Speaker, the matter is active before court, and therefore it is sub judice.
Thank you, Wakili. Yes, Elachi?
Mr. Speaker, while I appreciate that, I don't think the orders were meant for Parliament, and therefore this is a matter of very, very, very serious public interest, where we are about to have the last 844 joining high school. You can imagine how many children are about to just join school in January, and we are here at Parliament trying to imagine how the high cost of living is, and we are talking about school fees and then uniforms, and we cannot indeed tell parents that they cannot go to any shop they can afford. I think what Parliament is saying is that we want parents to be able to afford so that each child can get a uniform. And therefore, for me, Mr. Speaker, we must ask the Chair of Implementation that indeed the Ministry of Education must ensure every child has a right to go to school, to afford a school uniform, and therefore we must agree as this House that school uniform must be affordable to all our parents, and my parents who are in the slum areas in Nairobi. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support what the Chair Implementation has just put it. That school uniform has become so inhibitive to learning, to an extent that schools, principals, and even some in the education sector have formed a cartel system, where at one time they direct parents to specific stores or shops to buy schools where they get their cut there. Honorable Speaker, a school uniform should not actually stop a child from attending
Chairman,
classes.
that's a very serious allegation against
Yes.
teachers. Do you have evidence?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Why I'm talking tough on that, Mr. Speaker, I don't have particular evidence, because I have seen where some parents are directed to go to specific areas to go and buy a uniform, Mr. Speaker. Why don't you allow the parent to buy any uniform anywhere for his or her child? And two, these uniforms that the parents are actually buying for their children, this is their child. Allow him or her to buy the uniform where he or she likes. And two, these stores that are actually selling this particular uniform have specific price tags. 12,000, 13,000, 2 pairs, 20,000 shillings. That's quite expensive, Mr. Speaker. So actually, let us actually go follow that particular implementation committee report and have parents buy affordable uniform for students. Thank you.
Lillian Kogo.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for this chance. And just as a by the way, probably the chair is mentioning this because he was an immediate former school principal, so he may have been, but that is just as a by the way. Honorable Speaker, I want to mention this. Where in the first place did the idea of school uniforms come from? Why don't we just scrap school uniforms from our schools, because it is making life so difficult for our parents? The school fees is high. Why in the first place are we letting our children put on uniforms when they are going to school? Honorable Speaker, I should propose that we should have a system that is just going to scrap off this story of school fees, and I mean story of uniforms, so that our parents are probably let to only pay for school fees. We find that the next debate we are going to have here, Honorable Speaker, is the raised school fees, because national schools are supposed to pay 53,000. And as it were, it goes to 90,000 in some schools, it goes to about 83,000. There is no standard. There is no standard fees. So I should propose, Honorable Speaker, as a member of this House, that we should just scrap all these suckers of school uniforms, and our children should be allowed to go to school in peace. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Lillian, are you saying that if you scrap uniforms, children will go to school without clothes?
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. They will not go to school without clothes, but they don't also stay home naked, Honorable Speaker. So somehow parents are going to devise ways and means of taking our children to school because it is a headache. The reason why I raise this, Honorable Speaker, is that life is already so costly. Life is so expensive and unbearable for parents. So if we could just remove the 20, 30, 15,000 that is used for school fees, I think it's going to get the burden off our parents. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I don't want to escalate this. Can we end here on that? We'll ask now the implementation chairman has given you a report. You know what to do with it. What I don't understand, you members, is you are turning yourself into a house of lamentations. You run your CDF. You have women and youths in your constituencies. Why don't you set them up in business to knit uniform for schools within your jurisdiction at affordable rates and create wealth within your own areas? It's within your powers to make these decisions. I don't understand why you are lamenting. Let's go to... Let the chips lie where they fell. Angela, what is it?
I thought you asked me to respond.
Pardon?
You asked me to respond.
There is nothing to respond to. You gave a report. Members have made comments. It was not a debate to call you to reply. We leave it there. It will journey to the next level in the ordinary manner. I'll now give the floor to Senior Counsel Otienda Molo to say something different.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Order.
the Deputy Leader of Majority tabled various reports, and among them was the report of the meeting of the Bureau of Speakers of the East African Community, which was tabled, and it's of 34 pages. And Mr. Speaker, it bears comment because it has provisions that are relevant to members in barely 10 days. So with your permission, Mr. Speaker, let me first congratulate you and the rest of the speakers for that 16th meeting of the Bureau of Speakers, which was held on the 16th of this month in Juba. Mr. Speaker, allow me also on behalf of this Parliament to congratulate the Speaker of the National Assembly of the United Republic of Tanzania, who is the incoming chairperson of the Bureau of Speakers, but has also recently been elected as the president of the Interparliamentary Union. As a member of the East African Community, we are proud of that. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to indicate to the members, as contained in the report, that the next set of the East African Community Legislative Assembly Games will be held from 7th December to 18th December.
Order, Honorable Meli and Wamshomba. There are rooms behind the Speaker's chair. If you want to have a conversation, you are free to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the Honorable Wamuchomba and the Honorable Meli are encouraged to make use of those rooms. Mr. Speaker, allow me to repeat to the members for preparation purposes.
Members who are keen on going to Rwanda for Iyala Games, you better listen to what Otienda Molo is saying.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these games will be held between 7th and 18th of December in Kigali, Rwanda, under the theme for a progressive, peaceful, and all-inclusive East African community. Two things that members should note that is different from prior games. One is that all the disciplines, except athletics, will only have the participation of members only, without staff. That is the resolution that is contained in this report. Secondly, all members will be electronically identified. And as we speak, through the Speaker and the Clerk's office, they have already complied as a legislative assembly, and all the electronic and biodata details of all the members have already been shared for those purposes. This is to ensure that the complaints we've had before that there are some member states who bring non-members to play will never happen again. In addition, Mr. Speaker, it is important to tell the members that it was resolved that after Kigali, the 14th session of these games will be held in Kenya next year. And obviously, we will have a discussion around that in terms of how it's to be. I urge that when we have that discussion, we will need to consider two things. One is that this report resolves that although this 13th session is members only,